like to say it was pretty common.
Well, it happened often enough, Andy, that there's certain rituals, like, are associated, and like the lynching postcard was a thing where all the people in the community would stand behind the deceased, and somebody would take a picture, and those were I guess kind of popular. I think they were used to kind of invoke terror, but I also believe that there was an essence of religiosity here. I do believe that church was timed so as to let out and time for everybody to go out and participate in watching the lynching. And I do think that the preachers did what preachers often did in those circumstances, and that was to do their religious hustling. They would stand up in front and they would say the words that needed to be said. Look, I don't have the description that describes bleeding the assembled in the songs, so we have to forego that for the moment. Certainly the pictures are not going to capture that for us, right? And so we have to go to certain accounts. I don't know, I didn't find one, but I think it's I don't need a reference for that song. I mean, as much as I would like for what you said to not be true, I fear it's perfectly true. And yeah, I don't, whether or not Amazing Grace was popular or not, it doesn't really change that fact. It was a very Christian thing to do, to lynch a black person.
And JCC, I ran the numbers really quickly. If you consider 5 times a year per state common, then it is common. How did I get that? I took the 4,700 number that you gave, I divided it by 80 years, and then I divided it by 12 states, and I came out to just under 5 per year per state.
That's way too common.
Oh, we should see if Scott's still available by asking him a kind of a wake-up question. Scott,
yeah, like I said, if that's considered common, then it's common.
Scott, what's the Christian view on slavery?
While we wait, there used to be this myth that in colonial America they used to burn witches, but here in America they actually hung women that were accused of witchcraft, and then they would burn the bodies after. But for the most part, they were hung. Hanging has been a form of capital punishment for a very, very long time.
Yeah, hung or drown.
Remember.
Like, part of the thing I don't get, this is what, because I'm not a religious person,
Right around you and see if you float.
but if you look at throughout time, whether it was Jews at the time of the Bible even, whether it was Christians, we can look at Muslims, it doesn't matter, there was very barbaric shit that happened. The one, and I understand a lot of religious people, they don't believe in evolution, so forth. Now, like, but I basically do. But it's just like, as we were evolving, when we were like very primitive, unintelligent, less evolved people, and even if we go back, like if we were like archaic hominins, when did a religion start to apply? Once we became like Homo sapiens sapiens, or did it apply when we, I don't know, like throughout time, when we were like,
Depends on what you consider
like an ape, like basically a fucking hybrid species, or I should say less evolved species that was like, half ape. I don't. There's never satisfactory answers that I can get. And I'm somebody who went through Catholic school and one of the things about Catholic schools, we would ask questions to the priest, that we, with our Catholicism classes and so forth, and I just remember all of us ganging up on the priest, and that was a very tough job. They could never give a satisfactory answer, and I just like, to me, I'm not a I guess you could say I'm like I believe that there is likely a creator, a God, but I don't. I've never heard anything convincing from any fucking religion.
Oh, I've got something convincing for you. Put me in the queue, mods. I'm going to
Okay,
read Release from Bondage. It's from the Tanya.
No, don't.
Yes, yes, yes. Go walk your dog, Cora. Let the men talk.
How about no?
Okay, if you guys don't want actual information, you just want to hear, random opinions, go for it. I mean, I don't really care. It's your life. Do what you want to do.
But like when I have been in like religious spaces, I hear like there's these presuppositionalist like arguments where it's almost like they just want to prove themselves right. They can't have like a real fucking conversation. And I understand this, like when it comes to a lot of this, or religion in general, it does require faith. It's a belief that you can't necessarily prove.
So, I mean, it really depends on where you draw the line at what you consider a religion and what you don't. But there's a clear progression from like animism through ancestor worship to.
I'm talking about all religions.
I know. I'm just saying it's like I wouldn't consider animism a religion. I just consider it a cultural practice, right? But some people consider it a religious practice. Similar with ancestor worship. I just consider it a cultural practice, not. But
you don't think that might be a default? Because like maybe there was something subconsciously, like when I was young, where I don't know how this happened, but I remember being a young kid believing that I would it's obviously was not taught, from Catholic school, but that I would come back to this planet as a different either person or animal. It could be, I don't remember. It could be that there was something I watched when I was a young kid that I don't remember, where it put that up.
That could have happened when that brain got punched in a boxing match.
Amazing.
Well, I mean, that could just be that you had some sort of affinity for that animal. I don't know.
What was that animal that you were thinking about?
I was not thinking of an animal. I was thinking of it would come to mind like if ancestors that had died, like the flies that you would see. What if that was like reincarnated, like a family member that could see you? Like it was just weird shit like that. Like I don't know why these ideas popped in my head. I don't know.
Could it just be you have a very vivid imagination and that really is where it ends? Like, does it,
I agree. I agree.
So it becomes like, does everything that runs through the human mind need to have some really, really deep shit going on behind it? Or is it just, our brains do what our brains do?
Flitting around concepts,
Yes, I'm not. Yeah, so I'm not
Steve,
saying that.
Can you invite Jane? Is Jane still here?
Jane has encouraged that I read from the 47th verse of the Tanya. So, moderators, put me in the queue after Pepe is done with his imaginative discourse.
Yeah. So, Pepe, like if you look at, I think you start seeing evidence of things like animism emerging around, 60,000 years ago, both in Neanderthal populations and in Homo sapien populations. And then, this movement towards organized embodiments of animals. So you have like the famous sort of like lion-headed idol statue from in the Caucasus and things like that. But to me, when I look at the art and I think of all the context and everything, and I think about, being able to observe current animism type practices or the way they've evolved, it's more about embodying the spirit of the animal as a human being. It's not about really worshiping a god, and that makes sense if you're a hunter-gatherer because, if you're going to go out and hunt an animal, you want to think like that animal, if that makes sense. Like, it helps you get into the headspace where,
that is an
you're more
interesting question.
effective at
I
tracking
think,
and,
I think at some point we will. Like a lot of.
Just that there's so many weird things. Like we can look at
Let me
like
come at it this way.
Aztecs and
Our
what we would
outside
consider
of
like
meta,
barbaric today, where they were just like
the
sacrificing
philanthropy
people on
that
top
I do
of
with Priscilla
these
at
pyramids
the Chen
that
Zuckerberg
they built,
Initiative is
and
primarily focused on
these
cure
people were like,
diseases.
I don't know,
We
some will say
originally
up to
thought
30,000 years
that
removed.
kind of 100 years
Generally, it's in the teens.
when we started was sort of around the time frame
removed from
to
the
be able
rest
to
of the
cure
world.
and prevent and like
But then we can
deal
look at
with
the
all
Abrahamic
diseases.
religions, at least.
I know
it's
there's a
very
chance that
easy.
that
You
happens
can see
soon.
where there's
Whether that means that like we are gonna live
marijuana.
forever, or we
No,
just
what-
have
what do you
healthier
mean
lives through
continuous
the period that
chaos?
we're supposed to be
What do you mean
living, and then
we're
at some
very
point
much
like
not
your
this
human
world.
body is
the
done.
Aztecs were
No,
really
removed
good
from the
for-
rest of.
I don't
In other
think we
words,
understand
removed
that
from
yet.
the rest of.
Do you think it's possible that we could
For
figure that
example,
out?
from the people who
Cure
practice the
diseases?
Abrahamic
To be able to
religion.
like live to keep life like.
We
Do you
can.
think it's possible we could?
Well, I
I-
think
I-
what we practice is
I don't know. It's honestly it's not an area
I
that
think
I've
people
studied
lose
that
the
much.
timing of
It's
pre-Columbian
Shouldn't know,
cultures.
'cause we don't know. We don't know what's going on, Mark.
Aztecs and Incas are very much contemporary with the discovery.
The
and
biggest thing I
discovery
notice in
of
my life is
the
how do I
living
get to
world,
know
right?
myself better
Um,
and get to utilize
Mayans,
myself better,
predate
and really to listen to
Christ,
God better. How do I learn to
but they
have a
still stuck
relationship
around
with something that's
as
bigger than me,
populations
so that I can get
in
better
a less
direction,
organized
and better,
fashion,
and better peace
not
at
an
times.
empire-like
Pray
fashion.
every day. I pray every day. Yeah, me too.
And
I'm
there
not
are
a
like
scientist, but
people
I'm
don't
Right
realize.
now,
Yeah,
Mayans are
always
still.
believed in
Yeah, they're still around. They're in Guatemala and the
Yeah, but the Aztecs aren't around.
friend of
But
mine
I
is a
mean,
former
they
chamber
obviously were the
operator.
dominant
Yeah.
force in Mexico.
There's
few
people
years
of
ago, a
Aztec
friend of mine
descent
was a
all over
former
the place.
chain
Right? Like all
Yes,
around.
yes, of
Security
Aztec
stuff like
descent, but
I mean,
that tribe,
start reading the
that
Bible.
group
I
that
was like, wow,
existed,
there's so much wisdom here. When you start reading the stories and you start like looking at our real world experience, you go,
Mexico at
"No,
this
so
point
much of
is
this
a
makes
very
sense, and it
big
doesn't
Catholic.
make nature
I know
and science any
Mexico's
less
like
interesting.
that.
It makes it more
It's like-
interesting. It
But
makes it
the other thing is
more
like,
important. It's like we're
the areas
here,
around
we're
the Incan
here.
Empire and
I
stuff had
believe that
multiple
we're here
like,
to like
pulses of different
access
civilizations.
that energy and
moving
allow
through
it
there
to come
that
through
people
us.
aren't
Yeah.
aware of
Oh,
at
I
all.
think the funnest thing
Inca.
sometimes is like getting an idea because I'm like, this didn't
yeah.
come from. Have you ever been involved in
But
shooting?
all around
Yes, I
that
have. It was on a
particular
restaurant.
time, around the
So we
time
get to
of
the
the
apartment
formation of
community,
the
and
Abrahamic
the guy I
religions,
remember, he had on his red
I
cargo.
shouldn't say religions, but
We
like
had one
Judaism
person
in particular,
significantly change their telomere length within 4 days.
I
One
will
of the
never
big things
argue
that I
with
think
people,
is
you know,
a huge
no offense, I'm
problem that's
going
about to
against
happen
my
in the world
faith. I'm
is-
going, or I wouldn't even say it's my faith, it's the faith I was raised. And when it comes to the different Amerindian
Can y'all
cultures
please
and
pretend
religions
I'm
that
fake?
they had, it's my belief that it predates, for example, Judaism. It obviously predates Christianity and Islam, and yet this religion exists. And I don't know, has there ever been a population that's been encountered, like the first contact with a group of people that have been isolated from the rest of the world that did not have a religion? I think there is something about us where we do have these beliefs and we have our religions. It's something about us.
Well, what it is it scales with population size. And it also transforms when you're trying to like hold together cultures that are getting like, diasporic, right? They're like getting scattered. So it's basically about trying to maintain influence and control over large numbers of people. That's when you start moving through, at the clan scale, you start getting ancestor worship, and then you start moving up into like pantheism and henotheism and monolatry, right? As you get to like the city-state level. And then, did I say pantheism? I meant, sorry. Anyway, I can't think right now. man, I don't know what I drank, but anyway, but you start to see the emergence, particularly with Judaism, that it starts to emerge around the time of the Babylonian exile, when you actually have them displaced from Israel. You have them moving in, and under the influence of a different religious state that was a monolatry state, and trying to stay intact, without that connection to their land. And very much up until then, particularly in the Arabian Peninsula and Levant, the God you worship was very much tied to the place that you lived, which is, why you had that type of monolatry. It's like, oh, there are lots of gods, but this is the God of our city. Which is why when you read the Old Testament, it's like, well, our God helped us beat you because our God's better than your God, sort of thing. But once you have the Babylonian exile, they're trying to hold together the culture without having the place to tie it to. And that's when you start to see, within Judaism at least, that monotheism emerge. And it just carries on from there. So, but it does, and the thing with monotheism, and this is probably why Constantine, decided to adopt Christianity, is that it scales up to controlling, empire-sized areas. It's very good for controlling
When you
people
look at
that
every
are,
experience,
far
you'll
apart.
see
If they all
it has
worship
no
one God,
reality.
then
What
you have
only
one
intelligent
sort of
people
point
can
of
understand.
command
I'm
for
giving
everything.
away.
Yeah, I would say that that's
Those
where
You can control so many people.
I would say in Europe,
I'm
that
giving
is
away.
where, like, when you had the marriage with the, and I understand that's why there's
Yeah, the
you have
Holy
so
Roman
many
Empire is like
denominations.
the Holy Roman Empire is like kind of like the apex of that,
Well, yeah,
where the-
you had the Vatican that in a way had like ultimate control, and then you had the kings and that rebelled, and they're like, okay, we're just gonna have our own Christianity. There is, obviously it is very political, and I look at the different denominations today, which it was political in nature. That's why they split off. I don't know. I'm not an atheist. I'm a deist, but I'm somebody who's like usually bored listening to me, or I don't participate in these conversations enough. But I just see that
There's a cop who shot her in the back.
the people that tend to participate in these conversations are generally like somewhat fanatical, especially if they're Christian, but also if they're atheists, and I don't. It's all like you can't prove anything. Nobody can prove anything.
Pepe, it's like, I'm a former Catholic, Catholic school my entire life, including like college, and I think what happens is the reason you see such quote unquote like devotion is because people have tied so much of their perception of reality to this idea. As Christians believe that it's not even just about the 80 years you might get here. It's about the 8,000 years you might get somewhere else. And something you said earlier, about the time thing, right? It's like, Cora said something about, Homo sapiens 60,000 years ago, right? Like, I think that modern day people discount how long humans have been here, and humans were here long before these three particular, and if you want to throw in like Hinduism, before these three particular branches came to be. And at some point these particular worships will be gone, and maybe people will move on to other things or other beliefs, or maybe there's something in the human brain, because I always think, me personally, I think a lot of this comes back to the brain. Maybe they'll adopt or adapt to some other new religions. You know, it's like backgammon. The game of backgammon is older than the 3 Abrahamic religions, right? People were playing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they used to play with it with bones. It's a little different than it is now, but they dug up in Mesopotamia. These old they know it's backgammon. It's a type of backgammon, and it's I just think people don't understand or grasp how long humans have been running around. And you know, if you literally believe that, you know, like maybe 4,000 years ago there was a man and a woman in a garden, and somehow this man and woman populated the 7 billion people that are here now, it doesn't make any sense. But people have tied so much of their
You think there's something different now than it was then? It's still the garden now. That's the revelation. That's the enlightenment.
But I think he brings up a really good point that, like, every construct that we see today, whether it's your race, your ethnicity, your religion, your culture, these are not things that existed in the past. They're literally new constructs. If you were to look at the Spaniards, for example, and when the Visigoths were invading them, were they like, oh my god, they're fellow white people? No, they were like, who the fuck are these guys? Who are these assholes invading my fucking country? What you see is, like, all throughout the world, literally is a result of I would say change in culture, religion, language, all of this shit. And you know, I'm somebody who's, you know, despite my history on this app, like, I realize all of this shit. I don't but I would say, like, when I see this history throughout time, which, you know, we can look at. I don't want to. I won't pick on religions, but we can see how this has changed throughout time. It's just like, okay, like, what is even fucking true anymore? Like, everything changes. Like I said, culture, religion, race, ethnicity, language, it all changes. It's been, and that's the one thing that seems that is consistent when it comes to people throughout the world, is that those things will change. And I you know, I don't know. So, which group, at which point in time is the religion true, and the at which time is it a quote unquote original culture or group of people? It starts to become undefinable. I don't know how to answer these questions.
Yeah, I don't disagree with this, Pepe. I think that's right. I think when people start talking in a way that suggests that they're like, well, imagine I was saying I was Roman. I make this argument, right? I guess my family comes from Italy, so I'm Roman, and like, my connection to the people who are running around in a place that was called Rome is so distant, so interwoven and intermixed, both genetically, linguistically, culturally, in every other way, that to say that I'm somehow Roman at this point is mere pretense, right? But people do this. People do this all the time, and I am very suspicious of this claim. Right? When people do this, I roll my eyes and I'm like, yeah, right.
Like when you claim that Judaism and Christianity is just Zoroastrianism?
But it's all derivative of Zoroastrianism, but the Pepe's framing, like, nobody's a Christian in the sense that was meant in the Bible. People are Christians as in the sense that it's meant today, and the relationship of one to the other. It's like being a Republican today versus being a Republican at the time of the Whigs and Abraham
Well,
Lincoln,
I
right?
agree with that. Christianity today, like a first century Christian would not recognize Christianity today. And I don't think
Right.
a Jew from
But an Abraham Lincoln
Jesus'
would
era
probably
would recognize Jews today at all. Like the Jewish traditions that we are familiar with now came about in like the 9th century or something crazy. I was amazed to learn about this, but it's not. Yeah, there is. It's not like the Jews of 2000 BC were like, oh, oy vey. Like, it wasn't like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious of what, Pepe, you said earlier, I don't know if it's part of it was being discussed now, but you said we can't prove anything. Like, what do you mean? Like, there are a lot of things we can prove, right? What are you saying?
Nah, you can't prove anything. Not now, God, you can't prove anything in science, so where are you going to prove something?
You can't even read a book.
Two is irrational.
I think you can prove some things.
We're gonna say
Like,
only math has proofs.
so I think you can prove some things, but when it comes to faith, so if I was to say, what is for example, French person? Now, the French are an amalgamation of different groups of people that ended up conquering, immigrating, all of this stuff. They comprise modern day France. They spoke a bunch of different fucking languages a couple hundred years ago. Same, you can look at Europe, like Spain, the same thing. A bunch of different languages.
Somebody could be like a half a French person.
Well, you can prove if somebody's pregnant. I mean, you've never had kids, right, Cora?
We're talking about but we're talking about identities. And so,
Imagine, like, can you imagine somebody's like half French?
well, yeah, I mean, I would say if you're
So
half.
you could imagine a person could be like a little bit French. Like
Yeah, but we're using today's construct. But my point earlier,
So
my point is that it evolves over time. What is something today no longer exists.
Right. What do you think a maximally French person could be?
I can't answer that. There's no way I can answer that.
Yeah, well, that's I think my point is what you were
It's
talking
called
about.
the Sarah's
maximally French.
scale.
It's like being Jewish, but being an atheist here on Clownhouse and running atheist rooms all the time, but calling yourself Jewish.
Amazing. So if you were to look at France like a couple hundred years ago, they were different ethnic groups that spoke different dialects.
I have a huge problem. Cora said something and everybody talked over her, and I didn't hear it.
I was going to say the measurement of Frenchness is called the Sarah-Gainsborough scale.
So this is a thing that actually exists.
I'm curious.
I'm just making a joke. If you don't know who Sarah Gainsborough is, you're not gonna. Yeah.
I do not know who that is.
It's still, well, if it helps, if I say it's Charlotte Gainsborough.
Pepe, what was the last book that you read?
I don't know that really helps either.
You're on here 80 hours a week, Pepe. Have you ever read a book? What was the last book you read, Dr. Pepe?
I'm gonna guess yes.
I'm gonna guess no. I don't think Pepe's read a book in 8 years, probably.
In the Gilda scale, Pepe doesn't even register. He's like a 0.1 on the Gilda scale of ignorance. I think Pepe's doing just fine.
No, you can't prove anything.
I'm talking, here's the weird thing is that, can you prove me, so can you prove me wrong where you can prove can you prove Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Catholicism, any of this shit is like the real, it is the truth. How do you do that?
You read it and you figure out what's useful in it and you use it for the benefit of your life, stupid.
That's not what I was asking.
Yeah, you're asking an all or nothing position on whether or not God exists.
Is the epitome of Frenchness. So, like, when you do a search on Sarah Gainsborough on Google, the questions that come up are the first question. People also ask, how many cigarettes did Sarah Gainsborough have? Gainsborough, who smoked 5 packs of unfiltered contained cigarettes a day, died from a heart attack. Why did Jane Birkin and Sarah Gainsborough split up? Birkin had a daughter. That's Charlotte his alcoholism and violence. Was Serge Gainsbourg religious? He was an atheistic Jew. Bardot, while she was still married, went on a date with him. Yeah, and then it just goes on. But
Well, this all sounds very French and worthy of naming a scale.
yeah, well, do you know who Jane Birkin is? So,
Actually, I don't.
have you ever heard of a Birkin bag?
Yeah.
That's
not good on bags.
the woman for whom the Birkin bag is named. But the Birkin bag is like the Hermes, like the peak of buying an Hermes bag. Like they retail for like $60,000 to $80,000. Some of them
That seems very French.
That are rare, like in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, like $300,000 or $400,000. So they're literally like an investment piece. Like they don't go down in value. It's crazy.
Yeah, until you're desperate
For
because you're a
for
fucking
handbag.
whore and you need to sell it.
Am I the only one who finds Republicans' contributions here are about as welcome and helpful as Republicans' comments everywhere?
No, that's a you problem, Benjamin.
There was a time earlier when I was super entertained by his sort of Russell Brand kind of thing going on. But yeah, less so now.
Well, how do you know it's me and not a room problem? I mean, I haven't heard anything interesting for about 30 minutes now.
Alright.
I mean, handbags that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, not very interesting.
About the scale of Frenchness was pretty goddamn funny, to be honest.
That was very
I thought
funny.
in many ways it was on the nose, right? Because it gets to the core.
On the nose,
of
like it, I see what you did there.
things.
Oh, and yeah, he does have a huge nose. He's a very French nose.
It's a schnoz.
I have a very big nose. I'm of French descent, but I would say that. But in France, like the regional differences are they're pretty vast. I mean, and if you look at just like when it comes to something, so if you look at the identities of that would have existed 200 years ago in France, they spoke multiple different languages. They were ethnically of different, admixtures. But I understand. Much like Spain, it was similar. Italy was very similar. They had very distinct groups of people. But now it's just like they're kind of like lumped into one. But to say that they were. This is a very recent phenomenon. They weren't all
Is your
the same.
claim that some stereotypes are unreasonable generalizations?
No, it's probably the exact opposite.
I mean, it's like if you spend any time in France, like you learn to tell the difference between like a southern accent. Like I stayed in Nice for a couple months, and my primary French teacher in college was from Nice, and she had a very southern Mediterranean French accent. And then there's like the Rouen accent, and there's the Loire Valley accent, and of course like the standard Parisian accent, which is the one most people hear. But you learn to tell them apart. You could tell where people are from. Yeah.
Did you live a privileged upbringing, Cora?
No, I didn't. If you want to know how I got to go to language school in France, I did it by working full-time at Starbucks while I was going to college, and it just happened to be during the time where they had the voluntary stock option plan, and I put as much as I could of my paycheck into it every 2 weeks, and the stock split 3 or 4 times while I was working there, and so I ended up cashing in all my stock, and I had $3,000, and I could afford to go to language school in France.
Wow.
That's how I did it.
Maybe not super privileged, but that's a very Pacific Northwest story.
Wait, you weren't a barista? You worked at the corporate, or you were a barista?
No, I was just a barista. Yeah. You usually work the late shift because I went to school during the day. Like work from 6 to 11.
Actually, there's a woman.
So I was there till like midnight, and then I had to take the night route bus home. That took me like an hour. It was fun.
There was a woman who would cut my hair I haven't seen her in like over 10 years, but when we first met, like, I don't know, 15 years ago, she's somebody who would work part-time at Starbucks because of part-time people there, at least at that point in time, could get health benefits. And so...
Yep, that's how I got my wisdom teeth
work on
removed.
Starbucks wasn't an invitation to take the atheist, the ask the theist room in the direction of your reflections on Starbucks. But you do you.
Anyway, that's how I could afford to get my wisdom teeth removed, so that was pretty good.
Is that what happened to your
Starbucks
wisdom?
Dental insurance. Well, I had 3 wisdom teeth, so that was fortunate too.
So Pepe, when was the last time you read a book?
Today.
What did you read?
Pepe's a reader. Like, if you don't know that about him, weird.
I'm just finding out right now. What did you read today, Dr. Pepe?
Anybody dabble at all in the book of Abundance by Ezra Klein?
I haven't.
Didn't that just
I
come
listened
out
to
like
his
a couple
podcast.
months ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance.
So the
I
book
did-
I'm
I
reading
did
is actually
hear-
older.
Yeah. I did
It's
hear an
Stephen
interview of him and the
Pinker's,
co-author.
The Stephen Pinker's the Modern Denial of Human Nature.
The Modern Denial of Human Nature?
Yeah, it's older. It came out in the 2000s. It's a left-wing Jewish guy that basically is against tabula rasa, or blank slateism, in regards to every individual being born with the same exact capabilities, which I've always thought was asinine.
You always thought that was asinine.
Of course, I mean, there's even within families, where you have the same parents, the genes are evenly distributed between children. I mean, you might have a gene where, okay, let's say like schizophrenia, for example, is something that runs in your family, but one sibling gets it, one doesn't. One sibling is more intelligent than the other. One sibling's taller than the other. That's always been a thing. I mean, blank slateism, I think, is like almost like and I blame Christianity for this in a lot of ways. That we are all able to.
You blame Jesus?
Yeah. I won't say that, but I would say Christianity, but that somehow all humans are equally capable. I personally believe different human beings, as individuals...
Are you trying to
have
confirm
different
your
strengths.
bias?
Different human beings have different strengths and weaknesses. They're not evenly distributed.
So it's a bell-shaped curve.
Why are some people capable of being like great artists, engineers, poets, like whatever? Even if we were to say like, oh well, it had nothing to do with intelligence or something like that, there was something about their personality where they're able to do it, where they're driven to do it. So I mean, like, no, I think blatant slateism is fucking retarded.
I think blank slateism is like in support of like indoctrination. Like it's like, we got to teach these children things while they're a blank slate. That's really where that comes from. And I don't think that people that were like considering genetics at the time, they were just considering pedagogy. It's like I have a picture of this Catholic school in Covington, Kentucky, that has Psalms 34:11 like carved above the door. So every time the kids go into the school, they say, "Come, children, listen to me, and I will teach you the fear of the Lord." Like what the hell? It's like I can't imagine. They'll probably get it, that I'm just like, oh my god.
Well, when you study God,
like I always say, like Catholicism is this really non-religious religion, and at least here, I spent a lot of
Listen to what they say.
Моя маленькая сестра. And she would come back for you. You don't have to say that. It was really me too.
You can be rich, but if you're without God, what do you have? You have nothing. The Apostle Paul wrote to Timothy and said, instruct those that are rich in this world's goods, not to be proud. Don't fix your hopes on the uncertain things that money can buy. Fix your hope on God. Jesus said, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
If you're moving any, please don't scroll. I'm just trying. I was just checking to see if I went viral.
It's your ability to understand any other language or I should say any other Romance language.
Yeah, but in particular, Romanian retains a lot of the sort of Latin grammar forms. It sounds a lot like Italian, but the grammar's just a little closer to Latin. So it's really interesting.
That's one of the weird things is like, if you notice in I don't know if it's most universities, but like the French and Italian departments are generally merged together. And so like with French and Italian, the languages are 80% intelligible when reading each other's languages.
who got robbed by the police? Huh?
Johnny the best, the realist. He got robbed.
What, is he a clown house user?
Yeah, he's a clown house user. He is a little bit of Instagram. But
Yeah, I what?
you don't call?
No, not really, no.
I mean, the next time you see him, just ask him.
Is
if
it,
it was legal for you to fuck a 13-year-old, what are you doing? He's never gonna say no. He's just gonna say, I don't wanna ask him.
I got searched by the police once, and they were definitely looking to rob me.
Yo, but dude, like, how difficult is it for you to say no? The 13-year-old is too young for me. Even if it was legal, I won't do it.
Well, you're talking about clown house pieces of shit. What do you want? What do you expect? Welcome to hell.
Yeah, but how it did. I mean, like, the guy, I just don't get it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. To me, it's just,
What are you doing? It's Saturday night in Montreal.
It is Shabbos.
No, Shabbos is over. It's the first day of the week now.
Well, every day is a Shabbos day for me.
That's right.
I'm coming back home. Actually, I'm just there. I just reached my building. Not sure what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I might study.
Toira?
No, I'm not studying. What is it? Wait, listen. Open up, dude. Whoa. Yo, bro. Why can't I enter my building? The fuck? I can't enter my building, dude. I legit cannot. I cannot enter my building. Oh, fuck. Well, I'm stuck. There you go. That's where we're at. I have my Oh, thank God, I have my keys. That scares. This is wild. This is so fucking wild.
They locked your ass out. You can't get in?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go in from the other side. Yeah, it's messed up, dude. Like, holy shit. What are you doing? I'm gonna drink some tea and I'm gonna study, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Not Toira, no, I'm not studying Toira, man. I'm doing CFA all the time. Like, I work, and then I do my CFA. Like, that's all I'm doing. I'm a no-life fucking hermit at this point. I didn't even want to go out today. I just went out because it's been a while since I've seen this friend of mine. At least I have friends, right? Most of these clubhouse people, like, I mean, you know more than I do. You know. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes friends can be even more annoying than people here on Clown House, though. So it's nice to have a backup.
That's right. Oh, now I can come in. Get back more. That's great. So how are you doing? What's new in your life?
Oh, I've been reading the Alter Rebbe's Tanya, Rebbe Schnur Zalman from 1797. I'm reading the Tanya. You should read it. It's an amazing book.
Oh, sometime, man.
It'll help you with your CFA. No, the Tanya is Toira.
No, Toira is not.
No, Tanya is Toira. Toira is Tanya.
Tanya is actually the name of the woman that I know. She's a Jewish woman, and she's cheating on her husband with a man, and she wants to cheat on that man.
And you should read Tanya.
I should try it. Wait, 1 second. There's someone trying to come in.
I was hoping to get someone's insight on this Talmud verse that I just put.
Yeah, you have to. This one is broken. That one's okay.
What's your guys' opinion on that Talmud verse?
Which one is it? Did you put it in the chat? I don't know. Do you need me to Google that for you or something? Give us like a quote.
Oh, I was hoping a scholar can break it down for me.
I like you got your phone number in your profile, huh?
Yes.
Well, Rabbi is working on his CFA, so I don't think he'll help you with your education this evening.
What about you? You seem knowledgeable.
Yeah, but I'm
And
not
Jewish.
going to Google it for you. If you want to give me a link or something, I'd be happy to read it. should go up to her right now and ask her if you can offer her an evening cocktail to calm her anxiety and let her feel the love of the moment.
Just looking at my neighbor. Dinner today, I moved there. As of today, she's like smoking fucking pot, her fake titties and all of that shit. Like she's super hot, but her man looks like fucking shit. So I'm pretty sure she's being pimped out. It's true. So, Rabbi, can you give me your opinion on this Talmud verse? I don't care about the Talmud, nigga. I'm doing my CFA.
CFA is a very difficult test.
It's fucking gay as shit.
It is,
It's
isn't
fucked
it?
up, dude. It is fucked up. It is actually, like, actually fucking good.
Yeah, I was gonna do the CFA, and then I talked to an actual CFA, and he was so obnoxiously rude to me. I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm not doing this.
Why the hell are you doing a CFA?
And this was many years ago when I did the Series 7 and 63.
But why? Like, you're not finance.
Well, that was my first job after college. I was working at Smith Barney City Group as a financial, I was an intern to financial advisors.
Okay, I'm considering like actually going down that route.
Yeah. Because, you know, if you're a portfolio manager, you can make a hell of a lot more money, and it's a better
Yeah,
career
that's what I
path.
want.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I'm already doing that. I'm already a fund manager. I'm getting paid for it. I'm running my brother's three accounts. I'm running my brother's account. That's aside from my 4 accounts. So I'm technically already a fund manager. Yeah, I don't know exactly the numbers. In your dreams, nigga. Well, it is happening already. That's why I would like to do portfolio management, actually. Very much interested in that.
It's a good career. It's never going to go into business. The biggest broker in the office I worked at, he managed $1 billion, and that meant that he was making like about $1.5 million a year at 1% assets under management.
Yeah, I would also like to do investment research. Honestly, I wanted investment research, and then I moved out of it, which is fine. But I would like to go back into that, honestly, but in a different way. Like, I would like to have my own shit. I would like to have my own investment research firm, but also for portfolio management. Yeah, I would love to be a fund manager. I think that would be great. With my personal number, I am doing better than like most fund managers, that's for sure. Without the team, without analysts, without anything.
I know, but monkeys can throw fucking darts at a dartboard and beat out research analysts.
Oh, nice. And it's easy to fucking win in a rising tide here. I'm not winning in a rising tide. I started calculating since 2000, since COVID. But I've been putting a lot of money ever since, both ups and downs. If you look at my, I treat the S&P 500 over that same time duration. If you go look into the S&P 500 compounded annual growth rate for 5 years, which is the 5-year compounded annual growth rate, I'm beating it by pretty much like minus 18 point something percent. It's 14.32. So I'm beating it by 4 point something percent, which is actually pretty damn good. Beating the S&P 500 isn't really that easy, right? But I can say that my performance isn't as good as it used to be. That's for sure.
Maybe you're spending too much time on Clownhouse talking to people that use the N-word all day long.
No cacao. I'm spending a lot of like I'm working, and then yesterday, and then like I'm not really focusing on actually looking into the market. Like I'm not on OpenBB much. I'm not looking at financials, technicals. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing. No, I'm not trading over bubble pictures. I'm not trading as much as I used to. No, I do that when I'm on the pilot, dude. When are But I can tell you this, I can do my own. I don't want to be a worker now. Like honestly, I don't want to be a worker. All I need to do is have a good track record, be able to prove my track record, and then have my own be my own blood manager too.
That's right, the railway pickers on ETF doing money.
Not an ETF, or like, hey, these are my returns. This is my share, and I can prove that. Now,
You can start a private wealth management company, basically.
right, and now you can give me money. Now, use your money is your money, and your returns are your returns. I will be the one trading them. So,
Nigga, you're on nobody. Nobody can be shit.
I take what? So that's the thing. I give them more than S&P, right? So I think what? That means I need to beat the S&P. So let's say I beat the S&P by 8%. That means I give you 2% more than the S&P. The remainder is mine. And that's how I do my business. For example.
That's right.
Yeah, that would be cool. If I can do that, that would be cool. Hey, I told you, Rico, I'm gonna use, I'm actually gonna claim that I'm one manager. But, I don't well, I am one manager. So I'm taking
You know what?
for my background.
You should tell them you're a rabbi also. I mean,
No, I am.
will put the $1,000. I'm not putting more than $1,000.
It's really Grok and ChatGPT that convinced me because I was kind of workshopping like both of those algorithms.
Okay, but if you are convinced, surely you must be able to convince me.
I'm literally just getting home from a bar, so like let me write down.
Well, I drank a lot of beer. Well, I'm not drunk.
I have to go back and look at the conversation. Let me write some notes.
Look at this nigga. Look at this nigga.
That's right. But it basically, if you're basing MSTY off MSTR, which it is, like it basically like ChatGPT says like it'll be okay as long as the nav like remains stable or moving upward. And like the only obstacles that would, like for example, like MSTR.
And they could not do anything, and there were actually people dying. That shit was true, bro.
What was true?
People were dying. COVID, where the hell was going on? It was true.
They were killing people because they had a protocol. Of when people would come to the hospital, they would give them remdesivir, and they would put them on a ventilator. So of course, people were dying.
Kevin, come on, man, come on.
People were listen to me, okay? Seriously, if you want to talk about that, come back and tell me the fact.
Who told you that? Did you see that for real?
Listen,
I did. Murdered my dad.
How many? Hold on one second. How many people actually died from COVID that never went to the fucking hospital and never got any treatment for COVID? How many people actually died from it? Nobody. Okay, Jonathan had it a bunch of times. He didn't go to the fucking hospital. He didn't die from it.
I've had it a couple of times too. My mother just passed away. She just passed away in September. She was 105. She had it 3 times.
Guess what? And guess what? You know why she didn't die from that? She died later. She didn't die from that because she didn't go to the hospital. Man, it's a fact.
No, she was in the hospital.
We know.
To the hospital.
Did your grandma get the shot?
She went to the hospital. Yeah, my mother. Let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something. My mother got the shot. She went to the hospital. She had COVID. I've had all the shots. Matter of fact, I just got the shot with this past time. Back in November, I got the flu shot and the COVID shot. I take all the damn shots. There's nothing wrong with me. And check out this. I run 5 to 10 miles a goddamn every fucking goddamn day. So what are you saying?
You ain't gonna be around for another 5 years.
Check out this. I'm gonna be around, bro. Because guess what? I take care of myself. You need to take.
That's a big difference.
Let me tell you something.
You know what I'm gonna tell you?
Everybody's not the same. I'm not sitting there saying everybody's the same. But you gotta take care of yourself, bro. My mother was 105 when she passed away. She passed away in her sleep.
Hell yeah, that's the way I want to go.
You know what I'm saying? So don't get stop with the bullshit on some of this stuff, right? Some people died of COVID because they had other stuff going on. But and everybody, and it's your choice. Take the shot if you want to take the shot. But if you don't want to take the shot, don't take the shot. And that's what a lot of stuff. But a lot of this stuff's going on now. I mean, hey, COVID, whatever is COVID, whatever's going on. Hey, me, check out this. I done been all over the world doing all kind of crazy shit. I done took all kind of stuff. So I'm good to go. And I'm check out this. Right now is what. 12:27 in the morning. I'll be up about 3 hours, and I'll be running at about 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll be on the road running about a good hour and a half, and I'll come back.
How far do you run?
Sometimes I run 3 or 4, 5 miles. Sometimes I may run 10 miles. It depends on how the weather is. With all the smoke, I'm in the Midwest right now. So right now, the Midwest, the smoke's coming out from Canada, so it's not that good. The breathing air is not that good. So, you have to look at what you're doing, but you got to take care of something. And that's with knee surgeries and back surgeries.
Man, you got good genes, bro.
Hey, just take care of business, bro. It is what it is.
And 90% of it is genes.
Like I said, my mother died when she was 105. My grandmother died when she was 114.
Here's the thing. Is when you go in the line, okay, to get the vaccine or the flu shot, okay, as soon as they get your name and they say, oh, U.S. military, they fucking give you a placebo. And then you go on, and you jump up and down and you say, oh,
bullshit. I got a sister right. I have a sister right now. My mother got. Check out this. My mother started having children at 13 years old. I got a sister right now. She's 92. She's still 11. She can take all the shots. So what are you talking about? So that shit you're talking is bullshit, bro. Come on, man.
Placebo.
Come on, man.
Sister's 92. 50% of the shots are placebos.
Yeah, come on, Kevin. No. I mean, everybody. To me, you gotta give him a choice.
Let me ask you this.
Kevin. Let me ask you this question. If you get sick, right? If you get sick, do you go to the hospital?
Yes. Hold on a second.
Whoa. Hold on, Kevin. If you go to the hospital, right? Why do you want to go to the hospital if you get sick? Remember, it's bad. Go to the hospital.
If they told you to take the COVID shot right now, would you take it?
Hell yeah.
Oh my God. Seriously? I'm telling you not to take it.
I took it, Kevin. I took both of them this past year. I took the flu shot and the COVID shot.
Placebo. But listen, if you throw your ID out, okay, and walk through the line like you're not military, okay?
I'm retired. I'm not in the military no more. I'm retired.
You're still in the military.
I'm retired.
You're still fucking military.
I'm retired.
It doesn't matter.
I'm retired.
Still, no matter what, listen. No matter what, if you're retired or you're dead, okay? You're...
If somebody wants to prove me wrong, you guys can.
What? Anglo-Saxon Protestant? That's what that means.
Yeah.
Look, Pepe, I'm wearing your mask.
Amazing.
Why is that guy in here and I'm on?
Why are you asking why I'm here and why I am a mod, Elliot?
You're like an obvious troll, dude. I don't understand.
The one thing you have to give Anglos credit for is that, like, of all of the successful countries that you would want to live in, that were colonized in the New World, they were colonized by the British. The Spanish and Portuguese countries are not very great. But lo and behold, like, it's just like a continuation of what the classism that you had to experience in the UK pre-colonization. So, I'm not saying that like people like me who are not WASPs are superior to them. I think you have to give the WASPs the credit. They produce the best New World countries, including the United States of America, which is the most powerful country in the world. You have to give them credit for that. But with that being said, like, I kind of...
Yeah, but it's progressive though, Pepe. It didn't just like happen overnight. I mean, the English common law, it took Magna Carta all the way up to the Constitution. Like, this whole thing's about a liberation theology.
Sure, but okay, but why is it that, like, if you look at Canada, Australia, New Zealand, why are our countries like a spitting image of each other? Like, why are they so similar? Why do they have the same standards of living for the most part? Why are our laws so similar?
Because it's called English, Pepe. English.
That was literally better than any other colonizer out of Europe. Like, and nobody can deny that.
It's an amalgamation. I mean, without the French, we wouldn't have the United States of America.
Sure, because we so happen to be fighting with, the UK at the time, but at the end of the day, I do think, and this is me, it's not my people, but I do think that the people from the British Isles absolutely produced the best New World countries. There's no New World countries that you can point to that are better than Australia, New Zealand, Canada, or United States. They do not exist. They produce the best.
Yeah, but America was predominantly German.
Much later on.
Yeah, later on.
We're talking about who produced, in other words, who founded the countries that were the best.
I know, but there's only this thing.
The French, they fumbled in comparison to them. I mean, that's an objective fucking fact.
I know, but Pepe, you're just taking us on a history hypnosis car drive, and the truth is, the now is all important. All right, moderators, I would like to read to you from the Tanya. Because, I mean, listening to Pepe for hours and not hearing anything intelligent really is a waste of time.
Keep it brief and listen. Don't insult people, please. No personal attack. Say something meaningful and no personal attacks.
Okay, sounds
Pepe
good.
is struggling to understand things like everybody else. He has not been effective on this day.
Well, I haven't heard him say kikes or N-words for quite a while, so I guess he's improving. I mean, everything he's talking about seems to want to do his confirmation bias. White people are the best, black people suck, is basically what he's telling us right now.
Confirmation bias, you fucking retard. I said
No personal attacks, Pepe.
It wasn't my people who founded America. Like I'm saying.
You're an American. They are your people.
Are you gonna deny that America is not the greatest fucking country in the planet?
It's good, but I mean, it's all relative. If you're doing well here, then it's the greatest. If your life is shit, well, maybe it's not the greatest to you.
Where would you rather live? Okay, tell me which countries, aside from
I've lived in Australia.
Canada or America, where would you rather fucking live?
I've lived in Australia. I couldn't tell the difference between Australia or America. It felt like the same fucking place to me.
Yeah, no shit. That was my fucking point earlier. So can you tell me, where would you rather live in the world that compares?
I don't know. I'd probably want to live with the highest per capita of blondes, which I think is Lithuania or Latvia or Estonia.
You're such a fucking retarded troll, dude.
It's true. That's where I'd want to live.
Amazing.
I mean, it's not like I'm going to tell you I want to live in Nigeria or, Libya. I mean, I would want to go where I'm most attracted to the women. That's a pretty common sense answer.
Where in the new world, okay, can you think of any country, I would maybe live in Argentina, I don't know, but I mean, can you think of any country that was colonized by the Spanish or the Portuguese or the French?
Costa Rica,
in the
maybe?
New world that you would rather live in?
Costa Rica, probably, right?
Well, sure, it's not a bad place.
Okay, this is the Tanya. This is the 47th verse. It's brief. It says, release from bondage. And I wanted to read this to Steve Appel because if he calls himself Jewish, he should read this book. It says, in every generation and every day...
It's over most people's heads, though.
It's English. It's not complicated. People just don't want to read anything anymore. And thus, I'm reading.
I'm sure I've taken over 100 Tanya classes. It's very difficult for me and for the people
Yeah, but this version I have, it gives you commentary, which really explains it, and it's a good translation. It's by Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi. It's called Tanya, the Masterpiece of Hasidic Wisdom, translated by Rami Shapiro, forward by Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi. And I have another version of it, which is very difficult to read, but this one is really easy to read. You want to hear it?
I do, and it's very nice of you to read this. Believe me, it's a word with me. It's a very positive thing for you to do.
It's a positive book. It should give you joy.
Okay, just read it and tell me the context.
Okay. It says, released from bondage. In every generation and every day, you are obligated to regard yourself as if you had come out of narrowness. This refers to your release from the illusions of separateness and your absorption into the light of the blessed endless one. Abraham reached release through his own effort, advancing in holiness by degrees, as it is written, and Abram journeyed going on and on. This is fine for Abraham, but you need not advance through your own effort, for God gifts you with release through Torah. To understand Torah is to realize your oneness with God, and in this way to be released from narrowness. When your desire for unity overwhelms your desire for separation, you are immediately absorbed in God, for spirit evokes spirit. This absorption is your coming out of narrowness. And this is the commentary or the context. In every generation, the Alter Rebbe adds...
So how am I supposed to interpret it?
I'm giving you the interpretation. This is the commentary. It says, in every generation, the Alter Rebbe adds, and every day we are obligated to regard ourselves as if we had that day come out of Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is Egypt, refers not simply to the historical land of the pharaohs, but is also Hebrew pun on the word zarim, which means narrow places. Egypt represents those places in which you find yourself enslaved to false gods, ideas, harmful emotions, and hurtful behaviors such as clown house. Most systems of spiritual growth take the Abrahamic approach, encouraging you to free yourself from Mitzrayim step by step. But the Alter Rebbe is offering a different view. You are already free, you just don't know it. Today, this very moment, you are one with God. Today, this very moment, you can achieve the At Devakut, the realization of this oneness. There's nothing you have to do except stop insisting that things are other than they are. You are like a person dying of thirst who sits next to a tall glass of cool, fresh water. So convinced are you that there is no water, you completely ignore the reality right in front of you. You don't have to ask for water or fetch it yourself. All you have to do is stop ignoring the water that is offered and drink. And when you do drink, your thirst is gone immediately. It is the same with God's oneness. As soon as you realize the presence of God in and as all things, including yourself, your sense of separation and the anxiety it produces are gone. This is what Tanya calls spirit evoking spirit, for you realize you are God calling to God. What'd you say?
It's fantastic to me if others want to hear it. I think this is really fantastic. I say this is fantastic. You have more.
Yeah, I can.
I mean, it's inspiring, and I'll give you that.
I can read more, and I can put the link to the book, in the chat.
Do you know how many miserable rich people I know, Doge? I know a lot.
This reminds me of a song.
I used a similar expression. I used to call it starving at the banquet.
This reminds me of a song that I sing it for you.
Sure.
העולם כולו גשת צר מאוד, גשת צר מאוד, גשת צר מאוד.
I'll speak Hebrew, but you don't know how to sing.
גשת צר מאוד, גשת צר מאוד.
Sweet.
Kitover is עוד לא עבדת, עוד לא עבדה והייתי כאן, עוד לא עבדה
the name of this song? I need to look it up to hear how it goes.
The road is a very narrow bridge.
What's the name of it?
The road is a very narrow bridge.
Yeah, you can get this book. It's above. I pinned it to the top of the room. It was written in 1797 by Rabbi Shneur Zalman, the founder of Chabad Hasidism. And I gotta say, to me, it's like one of the smartest books I've ever read in my life. And it's not as complicated as you might think, because the commentary and the glossary essentially teach you the large language model that it is. It's a lot of information, but it's not beyond your comprehension.
So this is written with the, letters that are Kol Ha-Olam, I don't know how to fucking say this shit.
You said it perfectly.
Okay, so, alright. Just making sure it's the right song.
Yes, this is the right song.
I didn't make him such a tzaddik, Kitover.
It's a beautiful song. The whole entire world is a very narrow bridge. And the main thing is that to have no fear at all. So this is what our friend was kindly talking about earlier, mentioning that glass of water. You have to have no fear. Know that a person needs to cross a very, very narrow bridge. And the rule, the essence, is not to give to the fear at all.
Yeah, that's what FDR
You
said.
say not give to the fear, what do you mean? Because, I would say that...
It's FDR, Pepe.
Israel,
Only thing you have to fear is fear itself.
When it comes to Israel, so they've been caught spying a bunch. Every country spies. I'm not blaming Israel, but I would say that, when after busts would happen, I'm talking like 20, 30 years ago, they would say that, there was which, I can agree with, there's, kind of a existential crisis when it comes to Israel. They have to be more vigilant than countries like the United States, obviously, for very obvious reasons. No, I'm not going to say that's fear, but there is a level of vigilance that is there.
I'm not sure what you're saying right now, but Israel is very, very, very good at intelligence, and it works together with most countries that are willing to, that are friendly, and that we have a common foe.
Would you not say that Israel is on their heels or their toes more than, let's say, the United States of America, because they're in a situation in which they can be more easily imperiled?
Yeah, and we've always known it, and we are prepared and appropriately informed. And like you saw with the beeper thing, we have all sorts of things all over the place. For example, when it comes to Iran, we are working with the people of Iran that do not like what those guys are doing. They don't like it. Most of the people around hate their government, and they want them out. They feel oppressed by it.
Yeah, obviously the IRGC sucks.
It's not. Everybody knows it.
Even the pro-Muslim, anti-Israel people I've listened to have not really stood up for the IRGC.
They're horrible. Look, they were behind Assad. They're just ridiculously murderers.
Just to pivot slightly with that song, the idea of that song is that the bridge itself, the narrow bridge that we talk about, it represents life, and it signifies the finite nature of our existence and the potential for
form of hardship we may come across. And a core
Can you
message.
maybe just interpret that song into English? I mean, it was lovely, but
Yes.
that was Hebrew, I presume.
Yeah.
But I would like to just hear it in English, since we're having a conversation in English.
Okay, I will certainly do that. But basically, what you're saying is that in the word translated to the whole world is a very narrow bridge, right? That's effectively what it's saying. And the whole idea of that is overcoming any fear. So the core message is to face life's challenges without being paralyzed by fear, right? And it was written and inspired by Rabbi Nachman, who is the Breslov rabbi. So you'll see a lot of Hasidim. They go to Ukraine every year to the rabbi's place of rest. To because he was one of the most inspiring rabbis who did a huge amount for the Jewish community. And what it does is it gives us courage in action. So it encourages individuals to act despite their fears, to push forward and move towards the other side of the bridge, no matter how bad things may be. And it also emphasizes the living with inspiration, a sense of responsibility in the face of all life's challenges. So that's why we are not a people who will ever give up. We will never give up until we achieve what we need to achieve.
Can you not just speak the song in English, or is that hard to do? The commentary is fine. And hearing you sing it was seriously, it was lovely. But I would love to hear just the words in English without.
Go ahead, click the link above. That's the prayers of Rabbi Nachman. I recorded that 8 years ago. It's on YouTube. It's got 1,000 views.
I'm asking the person who sang the song.
Yeah, so the words are the whole entire world is a very narrow bridge, and the main thing is to have no fear at all. So basically that means, the whole world is a very narrow bridge, not to have any fear.
I'm pasting a link for you in the chat, Hero. You can listen to it yourself.
Those are the words.
It seemed longer than that, but okay.
No, it's a very big meaning. So when Dodge was talking about it before, where did you get that from, by the way? The glass of water. I really like that one. Where's
That's from the Tanya.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, that was really magnificent, right?
Yeah, that was great.
I mean,
There's so many nuances.
Yeah, you don't have to be Jewish to enjoy that wisdom. I mean, it's universal. It's great intelligence.
But it all
that's why I was asking for English. I just think I can hear a translated version of the thing without hearing the commentary along with it.
Now you've heard. It's in the chat now. It's all yours. Enjoy it. The YouTube link is in the chat.
I guess I will read it then. Thank you.
And then you can also, I think,
too hard to state it in English, or okay.
He just did about 4 times.
That was the whole thing, because it was one phrase.
Those are the words.
Okay.
If you want to take exactly
a few sentences.
Kol ha'olam kulo. The whole entire world. That's what that means. Kol ha'olam.
Okay. Well, I guess you're right. It was nicer just to hear it the way you sang it.
Okay, fair enough.
I get why you didn't translate it to begin with.
Is anybody talking? Can't hear anything.
But Rav Nachman Breslov. I think the person to ask about Rav Nachman Breslov on the app is Rav. You know Rav?
Yeah.
He may know quite a lot. I think he comes from potentially a Hasidic sect that was I mean, Rav Nachman was the great grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, so he was the founder of Chassid Jury. So Rav Nachman of Breslov, Rob Breslov.
Yep. I'm a breast lover, but I'm mostly an ass man.
Nice. Lovely.
My last name is Kitover, and apparently Rabbi Gershon Kitover was the brother or the brother-in-law of the Baal Shem Tov.
Yeah, related to Rav Toichas. The Toichas a squeeze, and you'll be there. Rav Toichas and Breslov, and everybody's loving each other,
So you want to hear another verse from Tanya? It's called Distracting Thoughts. Hello? No objections?
Yeah, no, not only no objection, enthusiastic approval.
Okay,
Before you do that, I just want to let you know that I saw Lionel this week. You know Lionel?
The political commentator?
No, man. Lionel Richie.
Oh.
He's great. Oh, I did some work with him. Yeah? Yeah. I bet he was not easy to work with. Actually, he was. He was very, very accommodating and simpatico. Oh, wow. Very sweet. Cool. Yeah. He's amazing. He's 75, you know that? Oh, I didn't know. Anyway, go on. I digress.
Okay, this one is called A Dull Heart. Just as an active and distracting mind is one challenge, a dull and lifeless heart is another. To arouse a dull heart, follow the advice of the Holy Zohar. A wooden beam that does not burn should be splintered, and a body opaque to light should be crushed. How is this done? By observing the foolishness in your thoughts, words, deeds, and dreams, and by reading the lives and teachings of saints. In this way, you will tremble and sin not, that is, you will rouse the good against the evil. In this way, you discover that the other side also serves God, offering you another way to awaken to your unity with God. It is merely being granted permission to confuse you with false and deceitful words in order that you may be more richly rewarded. This is the commentary. Timtum halab, dullness of heart, is more troubling than even the glittering ball of selfishness. The kelipat noga, at its most thick and alienated, at least the kelipat noga could feel heartbreak, and through this break open to the heartbreak of others and the unity of self and other in God. The dull heart feels nothing. It has to be made to feel, and for this it must be splintered and crushed. Zohar 3. You do this by comparing your thoughts, words, and deeds, and even dreams to those of spiritual giants. This will awaken a sense of trembling. You will be shocked by the lifelessness that has entrapped you, by how far you have fallen into the despair of the Sitra Achra, the other side, that aspect of you that falls prey to selfishness and alienation. And this sense of horror will, in fact, awaken your innate sense of goodness, the Yetzer HaTov. In this way, you will come to value the other side as yet another gift from God, for without the harrowing darkness, there is no value to the hallowing light. Just as Yetzer HaTov balances Yetzer Hara, so light balances darkness. Each goes with the other.
Let me just say something.
Mm-hmm.
The Yetzer Tov is the
good
force. Yetzer Hara is the bad force.
Yep.
And Klipa is the shell that sort of around us, separates us from the spiritual world.
I thought you might find it interesting. This is sort of complicated, but go on if you would like to, if others want to hear it.
Yeah, each goes with the other, and together they partake of the non-duality of God. God manifests as the other side, Sitra Achra, and the shells of self, Kalipat, in order to provide you with the dark against which the light can shine and be known. God gives rise to foolishness that you might discover wisdom. God allows for dullness that you might tremble with life. Everything is as it is to provide you with the opportunity to see what is. Timtum Halev means a dull heart, a heart numb to all feeling. The Zohar, Book of Splendor, was written in 13th century Spain by Rabbi Mystic Moses de Leon, a mystical commentary on the Bible. The Zohar is the foundational text of medieval Jewish Kabbalah. Zohar 3.168a says, some obstacles are simply too great to be taken on directly. They need to be broken up into smaller, more manageable pieces. This is true of a dull heart. You cannot simply will your heart to feel, but must arouse it slowly, bit by bit, by changing those thoughts, words, and deeds that dull the heart in the first place. Talmud Berachot 5a, this doesn't mean that you will pit good against evil, but that you will realize that just as evil grows to match the good, so now good will grow to balance the evil. That's called a dull heart.
Yeah, very good. That word you were pronouncing, you pronounce it clean.
You're in the Matrix.
Oh, sorry, I'm in an Uber, going home from a wedding, wearing my tuxedo.
Mazel tov, mazel tov.
Thank you, mazel tov.
So why is the I was going to ask you, why is the Shabbos like a wedding?
Why like a what?
Why is the Shabbos like a wedding?
Well, we have this Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, and the metaphor there is Shabbos is like a bride that we welcome, and Israel, the people of Israel, the Jewish people are the groom, and it's just this beautiful embodiment of spirituality. There are a lot of metaphors that compare the relationship of the Jewish people to God as like a romantic relationship.
I'll beat the PDF Shabbos.
So Pepe,
The bridegroom, the church is the bride. But the song, I listened to the song when you posted, it was very nice. But it was in Hebrew, so it didn't necessarily help what I was asking for. But that's okay. It's fun to keep things mysterious, I suppose.
Peekaboo translated for you like 4 times, and for some reason it's not getting through.
No, he said a phrase.
I didn't know it's a phrase. It was a series of sentences. And you should ask yourself why somehow you're oblivious to what he keeps repeating.
Actually, the opposite is true. He said something that seemed beautiful to me, and I was asking, hey, since we're speaking in English here, can you just say what you said? But
and then he did so.
He talked about what he said.
No,
and he interpreted what he said.
He explained the Hebrew to you.
He might have.
I'm sorry, you're not getting it.
It's not complicated. I just wanted to say.
You have to ask yourself why you're not getting it.
It's fine. I'm actually trying. I explain it.
Would you like me to sing it in English? Would you like me to sing it in English?
That's exactly what I asked for.
Okay. Do we sing it together? Would you like to sing it together?
Let's do it. Latency is a problem, but let's go for it.
I'm going to sing it first and foremost in Hebrew, and then I'm going to, that line that I sing in Hebrew, I'm going to then sing in English. We'll try again. Kol העולם כולו גשת צל מאוד, גשת צל מאוד, Yeshet Meod. The whole entire world is a very narrow bridge. A very narrow bridge. A very narrow bridge. Haika, Haika, lo nefachet, lo nefachet klar, Haika, Haika, lo nefachet klar. Main thing is to have no fear. Have no fear at all. That's the translation. I hope that helps.
Okay, so when you said the entire world is a very narrow bridge, have no fear, that was literally the whole song? Okay, that's cool. It was the whole song. Okay. It was, I guess, I was wrong. You were right. It was just better the way you said it the first time. And the video was better. It made it sound like there was more to it. But that's cool. I love it.
Great. I'm pleased you took something away from it.
Yeah, and it's a little weird that you said that apparently you want to be mysterious when he translated the song for you like 3 or 4 times.
You know, I thought there was more to it.
Clearly, but then
And you show the video, you're like, here it is, and it was actually again a bunch of lovely people sing. It was presented very well, and they sang it in Hebrew again, so that didn't actually help. So when he said it, I thought there was more to it because there was a lot of words in between it, and he explained things, and there was more Hebrew phrases. But then, I thought there was more to it than that. But the world is a narrow bridge. Have no fear. Got
basically
it.
that's.
I thought there was more to it, but if that's it, then super profound, very deep tradition. I get it.
But it actually is more than that. It's
but it is more than that.
Yeah, much more than that.
So much more than that. Okay.
Yeah,
But you said that was it. So
that's the interpretation that you take from it with that Hasidic wisdom. Words have meaning, but then.
So when I said you're trying to be mysterious, how normal you like objected to my saying you're trying to be mysterious. Like
Right, and we weren't.
But you are trying to be mysterious because they're actually.
Not at all. The point is that you have to get the meaning out of the word. There's nothing mysterious about it.
You're just
But
Muslims.
it's up to you it's up to you to understand what you're hearing. Like we can't put the understanding into you. That has to come from you.
Okay, it's my fault.
Like I said, ask yourself why you're so suspicious.
It's just we're room talking and you sang a song and I just want to hear the words. When you said the words, I thought there must be more, and then when you finally said it, I realized no, that's all it is.
That's what he can say.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But that's all it is. And then when I said, oh, you just want to make it mysterious, he said, no, we just don't want to make it. That's not what we're trying to do. That's all it is. Oh, but then he said, actually, there's much more to it. So you are trying to be mysterious. It's much deeper.
We're trying to be
deeper.
We're trying to be infused with meaning.
You are
just
super
listen.
deep.
Don't talk so much. Stop talking. Stop talking.
Very little.
You listen and let the words penetrate.
Well, Normo, I have listened to you 100 times more than you have ever listened to me. So
for good reason. You clearly have nothing to say. You're dull. You're dull, and it's a problem. Just listen. Talk less. Listen more. What?
Did you just?
Yeah.
Did you just meet?
Yeah. Yeah, I did indeed.
Fuck off, dude.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, bye. Nice talking to you. I don't know. I didn't understand. Just like on some kind of weird hair trigger or something. Hostile or angry. I don't know. On the one hand, Peekaboo and Doge are in such spiritual moods, like deeper and more profound than perhaps I've heard you do. And then others are just like, I don't know. I don't know if he feels missing out on something, or the Jews are keeping something from him. It's really interesting the way people react to this. I never ran into this before Clubhouse, to tell you the truth. I really didn't.
It's a very narrow bridge, no? Very narrow bridge.
I had no idea you were such a tzaddik, frankly.
I come from a long line of puddings.
Do you? I didn't even know. I didn't have such richness, you know. I mean, we're always looking for it. But like Doge said, it's right there. Like the water to quench our spiritual thirst is right there. And the idea that we're separating from it is in our mind.
Oh my God.
You think that's right, Doge? That's what you were saying before?
Yeah, it's Torah. It's Torah. Torah is how you cling to the divine. I mean, and it's words, it's books. I don't, you know, coming on this app and listening to people talk aimlessly, endlessly for years and years and years, it will take you nowhere. It's just a distraction. It's Gehenna. If you want to get close to God, you have to read divinely inspired, you know, words.
Do you know this guy David Simon who wrote The Wire, which is like a masterpiece of television?
I don't know the guy, but I know The Wire very well. I've seen them all.
You know, you've seen them all, which is more than me. Oh, I admire him as a writer. He started as a journalist with the Baltimore Sun. He said everything he's ever done in his life that was worth anything, he's done out of anger. Now, that's a lot like me. That's just the way I'm wired, pun intended. So, that's what wakes me up. Huh?
Excuse the pun. Excuse the pun.
Yeah, no, pun intended. Yeah, I mean, I tend to be, I guess, sort of lazy, except in an emergency, and then I'm very efficient and very active. And very, I'm very in it and on it. And I think we, the Jewish people, have always been under fire, so to speak, for God knows what reason. But we, you know, living as a Jew in America, I've had it really easy and good. No problem, you know. New York is a Jewish city. Bagels in every corner. There's many synagogues. There were like 10 synagogues in my neighborhood growing up, literally. And suddenly now we're facing Amalek again.
I saw again on the streets of New York. I just couldn't believe it. I saw a video of Rabbi Shmuley Botar in an altercation with some guy. I think he was in New York.
Should have been LA. I don't know, but it could be New York. I mean, Shmuley was he's a controversial character.
He is controversial, yes, but at the same time, he's an outspoken, you know. I don't know. Yeah, he's controversial. You're right. He is.
I'm not accusing anything on him.
He's fearless, though. You got to give him some credit. He goes, you know, he's not. He is. Yeah, he's fearless.
That part I like.
Yeah, that is something special, one could say. There's a few people like him. There should be more. And then again, I guess people find it hard to cross that bridge.
Be fearless. Yeah, well, see that, there you go. it's almost as though we're obligated to be fearful, Fear is the thing that prevents us from doing what we must do in life. Creatively, I've made my living for almost my entire life, except when I was young.
Do the Jews of New York, do they feel a sense of fear, or I mean, with being such a Jewish city?
Only now are we starting to feel, with the DC attack and we saw there were attacks in Europe, but it seemed to be over there. Now we're starting to feel it. With October 7th, the DC attack, the Denver attack, the stuff in LA, the stuff at, the Lubavitch headquarters at 770. It's starting to get a little bit, more than a little bit. I would say I'm becoming a very big Second Amendment fellow. And I think we all have to now. There was just an attack in Germany. If you have those, did you see that they attacked? There's a guy in Germany whose job is head of the anti-Semitism team, to deal with because Germany has an office for that. And that guy was attacked by a Jordanian national immigrant.
Wow.
Yeah, and there was there was another attack by a Palestinian. I forget where now. I get all this stuff. I should probably turn off notifications. There was another attack by a Palestinian refugee, and I'm not sure. I can't remember where now. I guess I could look in my thing. I was at a wedding though, so I wasn't looking at this stuff.
But I mean, look, I would suspect, I don't know, I've been in New York for quite a while, but I presume that Jewish institutions and events, certainly the public Jewish events, are very well secured.
Really well, like metal detectors.
Yeah.
I would say they're better secured in some ways than Israel, but Israel has a way of being secure without being obtrusive and metal. Yeah, they're so interesting. Like in New York, regardless of the attacks on Jews, since 9/11, you go into any building, it's very, very tight security. I can't say any building, office buildings, public buildings, synagogues as well. And they'll check your bag. If you go to a concert or something, they check your bags. They look inside. You go through a metal detector. This is, if you go to a comedy show or something, they do that. In Israel, there was no metal detector, and they didn't even want to look in my bag. And they just asked me a question. I couldn't believe it. They said to me, "Do you have a gun?"
The weirdest thing is, the last time I went into Israel, which was, like on holiday, not for these recent trips, but the last time I went in on holiday, just as a break, I got to Ben Gurion, and when I got off the aircraft, we just walked through the lobby there where you walk through the long hallway, and then you come through the security, but you could just walk straight into Israel. There was I almost felt like, hold on a second, where is all the security? And then a friend of mine said to me, everything has got cameras on it, every single thing. There's a back office where they're looking at everything and you just don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. So, they've got detectors and all sorts of things going on, which, they try and make it as... But now they've heightened everything, so...
Yeah.
And also then when I was up in Netanya, I was up in Haifa, I was... also, you can move around Israel, there's no security whatsoever.
Yeah. So, Mike,
when we speak about the differences of anti-Semitic attacks in Europe and the US, the most attacks in the US are planned, meaning a person plans an attack. The attacks in Germany is like this anti-Semitism commissioner who was attacked. He drove with his car through the street, with his son, had an Israeli song in the car radio, okay? And listened to a song. And the guy stopped. Yeah, and the guy stopped his car and tried to kill him. It's different in Europe here. You walk around, be visibly Jewish, and somebody tries to kill you. And it's always Muslims. And we have very few of these planned attacks. The planned attacks are mostly by Iranian intelligence, when they hire somebody that they commit a terror attack. But the most attacks are you walk around, you have a kippah, you speak on the phone Hebrew when you are, when people visit Berlin mostly, and then you get stabbed. That's no joke. And when we look at the demographics, the US has more and more Muslims, and so these spontaneous attacks will get more and more. We had 2,400 anti-Semitic incidents in the last year. Okay, and when we count, Germany has landmass of Texas or so. It's like, yeah.
Can I tell you one difference, though, Mike?
Yeah, tell me.
We have the Second Amendment here. It's a big difference.
Yeah, sure. We don't have this. I moved from a city to a rural area. That I'm,
Now you're cool.
I left. Yeah, the people here know that I'm Jewish, and it's okay. Because, and actually I lived in this area before, and they didn't like me really. But now they see that the problems aren't the Jews, they see that the problems are the Muslims. yeah, it's better here. Yeah, that's all.
How did you become a German Jew now?
My family never left. My family never left. Look, the most Jews in Germany are ex-Soviet Union Jews.
Right.
Okay. I think 80%. But in my state, in my federal state, it belonged partly to Germany. It was this federal state. We had an election, and they voted to join Nazi Germany. Okay. Because they were before French occupied after the First World War. And so everyone had the option to leave and go to France while the Holocaust. And so we left, And the
you went to France?
Yeah, we went to France. And the people who, but that is southern France, not North France. North France was Vichy. They cooperated with the Nazis.
Oh, southern France was not in Vichy?
Yeah, no, southern France was free. There was not in Vichy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this was only the north. And even the people here who left too late, they went not directly into the Holocaust. They were deported to France, and they worked for the Vichy French in like concentration camps, but working camps. And when you were able to work, you survived. When you got ill, living conditions weren't really good, And when you got ill, they sent you in a train back to Germany, then to Poland, and then, to the death camp. But you had better options. The most people who didn't make, in the beginning, they arrested the young, let's say the man between 18 and 24, that they start no revolt against them. And they were the one who really went to the Holocaust. But the rest had a chance. And in France, many people fled from these working camps and hid them with French farmers and stuff. And some made it even to Israel, we had luck. So, and so we came back, and the grandfather worked for the French military then, and so we stayed. Because working for the military,
You and I know each other, Mike, almost from the beginning of Clubhouse, a few months in. We started with Rabbi Stein.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Isn't that something? It's weird to have that connection.
And I've gotten much more involved with Chabad since then. I guess you have too.
Yeah, I study since then every day with him. Yes.
They're so great.
Yeah, every day. Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah. But I'd say everyone, look, when you look at the demographics, Canada and the US, it will become worse. And so Second Amendment is a good idea, but also investing in security, yeah. Hope everyone will be well.
We have to do what we have to do. And we don't need to be afraid. As Peekaboo just reminded us. Peekaboo the Tzaddik.
Yeah, it's not like we shouldn't be afraid, but we should be prepared. Well, that's different.
Right, I'm on American time, so it's late here. I'm just back from a nice wedding. Interesting, kind of Reformed Jewish wedding, which is interesting. There's a couple of Chabad friends there. Female rabbi, very interesting, and but otherwise a beautiful occasion. So thank you, Doge, very much. Pepe, thank you. Mike, thank you. Peekaboo, thank you. I'm gonna take off. Take care.
Lala Tov.
See you soon. Lala Tov.
Okay, I'm going to bed. Good night, Pepe. Good night, Kitty. Good night, Michaela. Good night, Suvan. Good night, Carrie. Good night, Jihadist. Hope you all have a great evening. Health, wealth, love, peace of mind, happiness, and strength. May more joy, more peace, and more love fill your life right now and forever.